Hey guys, welcome to coaching session number 3. It's hard to believe we're actually already at number 3. And like I said, this is going to be going um, probably more likely that it'll be going to 8 sessions total. It's possible that I can get it down to 7, but I'd rather do 8 and just make sure everybody is cool with everything that I've delivered. Even if number 8 is um, only like a Q&A type of coaching call, not so much a training call. And a lot of times those end up being even more educational than just like a boring slideshow that I've put together. So more than likely it's going to be going to 8 sessions. I just want to make sure everybody is really comfortable with everything that I've laid out and not really stuck anywhere. So let me get everything set up here as far as the chat and Q&A goes. Again, if you've got questions, put them in the Q&A box, which is different from the chat box. That way I don't miss anything at the end here. And we've got, tons of stuff to get through today. And I am really going to try and keep it to 2 hours. And I'll explain a little bit more about what we're going to be covering here in a second, but just want to let some more people jump on. I know it's here in the States, it's a holiday week, holiday weekend kind of. So, everybody's kind of off doing their own thing, vacations and whatnot. So not expecting a whole lot of people, but just want to make sure everybody that wants to get on and attend live can do that before we get started. Cause I have a few warnings, I guess you could say, up front that I want to make sure everybody sees. Hey, Darren, what's up? 2 a.m. there, man. I appreciate you being on here live. That's dedication. Cool. All right, guys, let's get going. We got a bunch of people on here now. So today's session is all about using the research that you've gathered over the past 2 weeks and pulling from that and filling in the blanks to create your really the bare bones structure of your 3-page website. And for a lot of you, the 3-page website is the bare bones, the fill in the blank bare bones template that you're going to be learning about today and getting access to today is going to be enough to get you going. You don't need to expand any further than what I'm giving you. And I'll show you here. I'm actually going to show you a couple examples. One, which is the domain flipping madeeasy.com. It's the site that I kind of just set up after the fact and thought it would be a good idea just to set something up to build alongside of the coaching program so you guys can see really how I would do it step by step. And I've also have another example of something I wrote probably 4 or 5 years ago, a 3-page site, and it doesn't follow this template really, but it does have a lot of the same psychology and persuasion stuff in there. It's just mixed and matched in different areas. So I'm going to show you that one here later on as well. So let's get going. A couple warnings first here. Following training includes powerful sales persuasion techniques. Do not use what you're about to learn to deceptively manipulate your readers. Please do not abuse your power. Instead, use this knowledge to help your readers solve their problems and achieve their goals. I really wanted to put this in here, not to like add flair to anything, but to seriously make you understand the power of what I'm giving you. And you can literally go through and copy and paste things into this template and it will work. I've done it in a number of different niches where I've gone through the same process, put it up online, and it just works without really having to do anything else. And this warning is really more about having people's best interests in mind, and that's really it. Second thing, and this one is really more important than the first one. This one, it's really the first time that I'm teaching this stuff and sharing the stuff I've been doing really the last, probably since about 2012 is when I really first started taking a lot of what I was learning and applied it to affiliate marketing, because a lot of what I learned came from outside of affiliate marketing. People don't teach this stuff to affiliate marketers. When you look at affiliate marketing courses, it really, most of them, I'm not going to say all of them because there are a couple guys out there who teach similar things, but they're nowhere near as in-depth as what I'm about to share with you today. It's more so bird's eye view, I guess you could say, of what I'm going to be teaching today. But a lot of the courses for affiliates are always geared towards a traffic source and not so much a long-term business, because traffic sources come and go. What works today, say on Facebook, may not work tomorrow, even on Facebook. Honestly, stuff changes so fast. So, really what this whole entire coaching program is about building a long-term asset. And that really has come from me learning about digital businesses, online businesses, and even really just information businesses. A lot of offline guys, people doing physical newsletters, guys like Agora. I've been studying Agora publishing for years. I'm just fascinated with their business model, the marketing that they use, and up until really the last year or two, they never really shared much of any of that. And I think about 2016 was the first time I really ever had anybody from Agora, share any of their, quote unquote insider details with me. And since then they've come out and released a few products, partnered kind of with Todd Brown, with MFA. But a lot of what they do is based around paid traffic, but it's still a long-term asset, and it can be applied to affiliate marketing. It's really just about the product that you're promoting, and it really is a culmination of a lot of different places that I've pulled information from over the last 10 years and applied it directly to affiliate marketing. So just kind of a warning to keep this information to yourself, use it for yourself, and just don't do stupid stuff and share it with whatever black hat forum or whatever. I mean, I know you guys, if you've paid money to be in this coaching, you're not in any of that stuff. So just wanted to put that out there. I wanted to kind of put it inside of this coaching video just so that it's kind of documented as well. So, all right, let's get going. We got a lot of stuff to get through. So the first part of really understanding this template and the 3-page site is understanding the psychology behind a high converting landing page. And the image that you're seeing on the screen is really what I call a squeeze page. Some people call it lead capture page, landing page, whatever. And squeeze pages really only have one goal. It's to get somebody's email address. There's no navigation besides the legal links at the bottom. There's no, nothing to scroll. Everything is right there above the fold as soon as you land on it. But again, as we go through this today, you're going to see things that I've pulled from just different things that have worked from different areas of online business and applied it to what I'm teaching you. This one in particular the 6 elements of high converting landing pages I pulled from Justin Brook, who runs adskills.com. And these 6 elements were pulled straight from one of his trainings. You know, it's stuff that I've followed for years. So, and I guess I should have put the numbers next to these, but so identity, and these are the things, before I get into this, these are the things that you should have on your 3-page website that lead to high conversions. You don't have to have them on every single page. And we've already talked about some of this. Week 1, I did kind of an overview, and I talked about some of the things that you're going to see here in a second. But you need to have them somewhere on the website. So number 1 is the identity, which is, could be a logo, could just be your business name, contact details like address, phone, email, privacy policy. Again, all of these things together are what lead to the high conversions. It's not something where you can pick 1 or 2 things. You really want to have 5, 6 if possible, which you're going to see here in a second. 6 may not be feasible for you, especially as an affiliate, but I'll cover that in a second. So number 2 is credibility, which can be like as seen on, related authority websites, trust logos. So in that image, you see at the top some websites that we've been featured in for our gardening business, my dad and I's gardening business. We've been featured in all of those things, as far as, even if it's just a backlink on some of them. So if you've got that, great. If not, as an affiliate, if the, if you're talking about like the keto diet, you can say the keto diet was recently featured on abc.com in an article about the top 3 diets to lose weight or whatever. Those are ways to add credibility to what you're doing. And as we go through this template, I'll give you examples of what to use. Number 3 is relevance, which is huge. It really just comes down to the copy that you have really prominent on the page, which, is typically always the headline, because it's the first thing that people usually see or read. It just needs to be related to the market itself, and preferably the very, very narrow avatar that you've chosen. And some of it just comes down to connecting the dots and staying congruent from the ad network. So, depending on where you're getting traffic from, going back to the email that I sent to promote this coaching program, one of the examples that I gave was using a billboard on the side of the road to promote your website. And these businesses should stand alone and work and be able to make money, even if the only thing you could do was put a domain name on a billboard. So like a huge billboard on the side of the road, black background, white text, and it only said domain flipping madeeasy.com. If somebody saw that billboard, remembered the domain, preferably I'd like the domain to be a little bit shorter than 4 words. I usually like 2 or 3, but 4 isn't that big of a deal. If somebody went to that domain, that pretty much targets them or qualifies them as somebody who's interested in flipping domains for profit. It's pretty obvious what they're going to see when they get there. You don't want to be sending people to this website who aren't qualified. And qualifying traffic, I'll talk more about how to qualify the visitors that come to your site when we get to the traffic sessions, but it's kind of a preview of how to think about that when you're going forward. Relevance is huge, and that's definitely a requirement. Same with identity. And credibility can be one of the ones that you are possibly leaving out. Number 4, social proof, which can be testimonials or stuff like a download counter, or if you've ever seen the pop-ups on like the bottom left side of a screen that say like so and so just opted in or so and so just purchased, those can be considered social proof as well. And this is another one this one's actually pretty easy to add in as an affiliate, because you can just say something along the lines of over 10,000 people have used this product or purchased this or followed this diet plan. And that's a pretty easy way to add social proof. Again, this is just a high level overview of the 6 elements. As we continue today, I'm going to go like deep dive into the whole entire template step by step. This is just really a preview to the things that you really want on the site and where they are on the site. How early or how late doesn't really matter. Relevance is really the only thing that matters to have on the first page, wherever you're sending the traffic to. That way that people know they're at the right site and don't leave. Number 5 is urgency. So some kind of a warning or a limited availability, or say it's ending soon, and you can see number 5 on this image here is actually this blue headline that I really added this in after the fact, because I went back to Justin's 6 elements, his document on 6 elements, and I noticed I didn't have any kind of urgency on this page. So I added this blue headline in after the fact. So, very, very like markety-ish. Greedy corporate growers want this controversial video banned from the internet. And that just kind of implies that the video won't be up forever. So watch it now. And urgency is kind of a tough one to add in if you're not the product owner. And the way that I always recommend adding urgency is reminding the prospect what they're missing out on every single day by not taking action. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're in the weight loss industry. What are they missing out on by waiting to purchase or waiting to opt into your list to learn more about this diet plan? They're missing out on potential weight loss every single day, steps. They're moving every single day that they're not taking part in this diet plan. They're missing out on a potentially better life, really, is what it comes down to. And that's really the easiest way to add urgency as an affiliate. Last thing, number 6, is usability, which is really just about being able to understand what you want them to do on the page. So button color, easy to identify, action steps. So make sure that they know what you want them to do. If it's get to opt in, or click the link at the bottom that says continue to the next page, just make sure that stuff's easy. Make sure it looks good on every device. So, mobile and tablet. Because if you're doing stuff on Facebook, 80-90% of Facebook's traffic is mobile devices. So you want to make sure that your site looks good on mobile devices. Cool. So that is the six elements of a high converting landing page. And we're going to really take that kind of a broad overview, take that and really pull it apart and use it going forward in this template. So initially, the way that I came up with this template was, different from what most people teach. When you do affiliate marketing, it's typically going out and looking at what other people are doing, right? You want to make sure that you're following the same steps they're taking because they're making money, so you want to do the same thing. But what happens when you follow that approach is you're really just replicating stuff that's already out there. You don't know why what they're doing is working, which you're assuming that it's working. You're not really even thinking a whole lot about the visitor that's on the site. So the way that I kind of think about this when I go about starting one of these new businesses, and this is aside from like native ads where you're really just using a one-page pre-sale to get people to go from the ad to your landing page to an offer. This is totally different. This is about building a business long-term, an email list. It's not about like getting a quick sale and hoping they convert, or getting the clicks and hoping they convert. And if not, then you choose a different way to drive traffic. This is about looking at it from the person's perspective and thinking about the problems that they have and doing everything in your power to keep them on your website. And the way that I do that is just kind of put yourself in their shoes and imagine yourself clicking an ad from somewhere like Facebook. And, when I land on the site, what is going to make me stay on that site and continue reading all the way to the end, or continue watching something all the way to the end and then take the next action? So over the next 6 slides, I'm going to just kind of go through my thought process of what makes visitors or readers bounce. And what bounce means is just basically land on your site and then leave without taking another action. So the first thing was, obviously, they smell a sales pitch coming on. People don't like to be sold to. That's pretty obvious, unless you're in like the internet marketing niche or like an opportunity niche where you hope to find new opportunities. That is different than like the weight loss, and weight loss is a little different as well, but kind of like the opportunity. But so niches like diabetes and stuff like that, they don't want to be sold to. So that's number one. That's part one of why somebody bounces. So the next couple things I'm going to share are how to avoid making your site just immediately seem like a sales pitch. First thing, obviously, include non-threatening language, avoid salesy language and claims and guarantees. And it's really just about being seen as a trusted advisor. Include intriguing content and stories when possible. So, a lot of what I'm sharing here up front are like the why behind why the template works so well. So, you don't feel like you have to understand everything I'm saying here initially and take it and turn it into your own words on the site. If you just follow the template I'm giving you here at the end today, you're fine, because this template is pulled from kind of what you can call a quote unquote average of my sites and the layouts of the sites and the components on each page, and what works best, what gets people to land on page 1, click through to page 2, click through to page 3, opt in or buy. That's what the template is designed around. But I really wanted to be able to explain to you why it works so well. So that's what I'm teaching here up front. So part 2, people would bounce because they're just unsure how to navigate the site to find what they need. I think it was Joe Sugarman who says it should be like a slippery slope, where the headline has one job, and that job is to get them to read the second line of the page, and the second line has one job, that's to get them to read the third line. Once they've started down that slope, it's tough to just say, I'm done. You've got one chance to capture their attention. So, consider it a slippery slope where you want to capture their attention and make it intriguing and curious enough to where they continue reading. And just do it one step at a time. You don't need to jump out of the gate with sales messages to where they're just immediately their guard is put up. You want to pull them in and just get them to read one line at a time. And then some operational stuff. Make sure your page load speeds are good. I'll cover more, more operational type stuff when we cover the website setup. But that's another thing. Obviously, if your page is loading too slow, they're not going to stick around. And last, make sure your site is good, looks good across all screens. Part 3, it's just not what they expected, which really is just about being relevant. So make sure your site, like I said, is very specific to one narrow avatar. And as soon as they land on that page, relevance should just jump off the page like, oh, okay, this is perfect, exactly what I was looking for. Don't use generic domain names that can be used for really anything. Keep it very hyper targeted. So basically, that's what I just said. Kind of the byproduct of hyper focusing your site around a very specific topic is it makes you look like an expert because your entire site is just about this one thing. It's just kind of the byproduct of narrowing way in on one topic. And when possible, like I said, use your ads to pre-qualify visitors. That way, without a doubt, if somebody clicks your ad, they're already qualified to be on your site, and your site's going to be totally relevant to them. And talk more about that in the coming weeks when I cover traffic. So number 4, another reason that they could possibly bounce is they just don't believe that it'll work for them, whether it's a business opportunity, a weight loss plan, a diabetes plan, a solar power system, anything. They have to believe that your solution will work for them. So a way to kind of combat that is to, out of the gate, make a list of common objections, which obviously you've already got that data from doing your forum research. And if you did any of the other research, you've already got all this data. And as you're going to see here in a little bit, you're just going to be pulling straight from those notepad files and really just pasting it into the different areas of the template. So this is actually one thing, I'll pause right here for a second. This is one thing that I got from Joe Schrieffer, who is the one of the publishers for Agora Financial. He takes brand new people who really just want to write copy and makes them copywriters without really any kind of training, no previous experience. And he released a product a while ago, called Copy Camp or something, and it was amazing, just insane. I actually saw him on stage at Todd Brown's MFA Live back in 2016, and he went through this entire speech. He brought these huge, kind of 3 foot by 3 foot wide Post-it notes, and they had 20 of them. And he came up to the stage and said, if I were to sell you I honestly don't remember the product that he said, but let's just say if I were to sell you a weight loss product, they actually do health stuff now, but back then they didn't. He's a financial guy. But if I were to sell you a weight loss product, what are some of the objections you would have? And he actually went out to the audience. This was, probably 600-700 people in the audience, and people raising their hands and just coming up with objections, I can't do that kind of exercise. So they would stop. Somebody would write, I can't do that kind of exercise on the Post-it note. And that person would come up from the audience and stand on stage holding that Post-it note. By the time, 20-30 minutes was up, there were 20 or 25 people up on the stage holding these big Post-it notes with all these objections. And he said, right there, what you're looking at is a sideways version of our sales page. Each one of those Post-it notes would be a bulleted, or no, I'm sorry, not a bulleted, a sub headline in our sales page. So, he would take the first one was, I can't do those kind of exercises. He would take that and turn it into a sub headline like, um, simple exercises anybody can do no matter your age. And then they would talk about it. So by the time you got to the bottom of the sales ladder, every single one of the most common objections are answered. And that kind of like blew me away because I'd never really broke down a sales page like that, but it's a perfect way to slowly work the person from, I don't know if this is going to work for me, to like completely sold on it. Because by the time they get to the end of those objections, they're completely sold. That there very few people are going to have any other objections than those. I'm not saying you need to have 20 to 25 objections in a 3-page website, but you've already got those common objections that you pull from forum research. Work those into the 3 pages any way that you can. You will be working them in anyways because you're going to be pulling things to use for the template. But anywhere that you can even add more, add another explanation of an objection, and why they don't need to worry about that, or how this is different, it is only going to be that much more beneficial and going to get you that much more of a conversion rate. So address every objection and somewhere on the site. That one is huge, guys, and I'm going to come back and talk more about that once we get into the different pieces of this template. But that's one to make a note of. Part 5, they don't believe in themselves. So last one, they don't believe that your solution will work for them. This one is they don't believe that they themselves can make the solution work for them. Getting somebody to believe in themselves is a very tough thing to do. And I've studied this again a lot. Back in 2014, maybe 13, maybe even before that, I don't remember. Me and my dad went to Dan Kennedy's Opportunity Concepts marketing or training. It was like a 2 or 3 day event. And it was all about selling opportunities because that, in the gardening industry, that's really what our product is. It's a business opportunity geared towards gardeners. So obviously we were all over that. It was probably a $4,000 or $5,000 event, but it was worth it. I mean, he gave every single step to how to deal with objections and opportunities, how to pull somebody's beliefs in themselves, and then turn that belief into your product. So the only thing that somebody has to believe in is your product. And really the way that I do that is a little bit different than some people, but it's all already part of the template. But again, I want to kind of break down this stuff ahead of time just so a little bit about why each one of these things in the template works, and really where I pulled this stuff from, because I don't want you guys to feel like I invented all of this stuff. I'm just not that smart. Like I just study very specific topics that I'm interested in, and I pull out the best pieces of those things and things that I can use in affiliate marketing, and I kind of just jumble it all together in a way that it's the best of everything in one place. So somebody not believing in themselves, let's say in the weight loss industry, they don't believe that they have the willpower to work out or diet, or do the exercises that need to be done, or eat the things that you're asking them to eat. Those are very tough beliefs to overcome, and there are very, very specific ways to combat those things. And somebody else that I learned a long time ago, Perry Belcher, who was Ryan Dice's partner in digitalmarketer.com, he had an event all about selling. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it's just something selling system, but if you just look up Perry Belcher's selling system, you'll probably find a page where you can buy that if you're interested. But one of his, the biggest things I took away from that entire training was if you can get your sales message down to where the person only has to believe one thing, you'll be able to sell as much as you ever want to sell. And it's a very hard thing to do, to get somebody to only have to believe one thing, meaning they don't have to believe that they can do the exercises. They don't have to believe that they can follow the diet plan. They don't have to believe that they can get themselves to the gym. That the only thing they have to believe in is, usually the answer to is, a coach or a person or some kind of a system or something like that, where they can put all of that belief into one thing. That's really the way that you get around it. So the way that you can kind of combat some of this stuff is just make a list of everything the prospect must believe before they will buy. Like I said, in the weight loss, there's a number of different things. The way that you can get around that is just telling them that those things don't matter, and it's just about following the program. It's literally a step-by-step thing. And really, when you really step back and think about what you're watching right now, what you're listening to right now, that's how this was sold. It was sold as a opportunity. You only had to believe in the opportunity or believe in me, one or the other, and it was an easy sell. And I'm not saying that to like make you feel like I deceived you in any way, just sharing how you can persuade somebody to really push themselves further than they've been pushed before. And that's only for their own good. It's not to manipulate them in some way or deceive them in any way. It's just to get them to finally make a difference in their lives. So that's really what I learned from Perry's training and how I applied that to this. Next is really just address each belief somewhere on your site. And that's really about, part of it is going to be eliminating other options, as well as talking about the benefits of your solution. So, in the weight loss thing, if they feel like one of the things that they have to believe in themselves for is being able to go to the gym, then you're not going to be able to sell them on a program where you're selling 8 weeks of trainings you can do in the gym, because they're just not going to believe that they'll ever be able to, have the discipline to get themselves there whenever you're telling them to be there. You've really got to change it to just focus more on this system is different and that it will work for you because this, and this. The last thing is a lack of trust in you. So you being the person selling the product or the affiliate, the person who owns the website. If they've read through page 1, they've clicked at the bottom to go to page 2, and you get them into page 3. Once somebody has gone that far and they're on page 3 of a 3-page site, conversion rates from just page 3. So I'm talking about, if 100 people land on page 3, it's not unusual to convert 80 to 90% of them, because they've already taken so many steps to get to that point. They've done the micro commitments of clicking the links. They've read, they've kind of agreed to different things in their mind. Once they've got to page 3, it's a very, very high conversion rate. But that 10 to 20% that don't opt in, this could be the main reason, and that's just a lack of trust in you. So a few things that you can do to help that. Like I said before, include any kind of as seen on things, news clippings, trust logos, something to add more authority and credibility. And as you'll see here later on today, I'm gonna give you a couple different ways to do that as an affiliate, even if you've got nothing yourself. It's very easy to kind of manufacture authority and credibility. Next, social proof. There's a lot of different ways to add social proof. If you're doing success stories or case studies, that's the simplest way, which is the domain flipping made easy. When I came up with that idea to just use the domain flipping made easy, I don't remember immediately where I got the idea, but within 10 minutes, I already knew exactly the angle I was going to take. I found somebody with a quick Google search that that was like their first time ever trying it, and they bought a $1 domain name and sold it in 3 days for $700. That's the easiest way to do social proof. Testimonials, so that can be, things like pull things from different products, and well, I'm going to talk about what to do on how to pick case studies and testimonials and whatnot here in a little bit. I think this is the last social proof thing, is if you can include any kind of like recent, like real-time activity on your website, that will really overcome your trust. Like seriously, I started using Proof, which is the website is useproof.com, and I know that you guys have seen it because I use it on all my stuff. But let's see. Wait. So this right here is Proof. So this conversion happened 2 days ago. I must have set this up wrong because it's showing stuff from 2 days ago. I know that we've sold these products since then, but that's the quickest way to add social proof, because it's literally like this dude purchased this 3 days ago and it's verified by this company. If you click that box, it actually goes to where it goes, actually, Proof's website. Yeah. So backyardgrowers.com is verified by Proof. Awesome. And you can also do, like Proof does a lot of different things. So like if you don't have any conversions yet, one of them you can do is, well, they changed this big time. Let's see. One of them you can do is like 28 people viewing this site right now. And that, it's not that big of a proof thing to us marketers, but to other people, it's like, oh, cool, there are other people on here, they're interested in it. And, as a human being, it's just like natural. It's natural to want to do other things that other people are doing too. And you, before you make a decision that you're unsure of, you want to see that someone else has already done it. Somebody else like you has already done it. So useproof.com, it is pricey. There is an alternative, and let's see if I can remember the name of it. I think it's this. Yeah, so this is an alternative to Proof. I will say I am an affiliate for this company, because it is, it's a one-time payment. Proof is a monthly payment. But I will say that I used to use this on our sites, and it is very inconsistent. I don't know why. Sometimes it would load, sometimes it wouldn't. When it did load and it was displaying conversions from like days and days ago. Maybe they fixed it since then. This has been probably a year or two. But that's another option if you're, not willing to do the monthly thing with Proof. And it's not a necessity either way. You don't feel like you have to have something like this. Just doing one of these first three things is plenty and good enough. Another way to add trust, obviously, just make sure you've got all of the standard business things that make people feel comfortable, like they're not, they know who they're dealing with. The things like the logo, phone, address, email. If you got a contact page instead of email address, that's good too. Legal pages. There are like trust logos as well. So, the things like, verified by McAfee or Norton or Better Business Bureau logos, badges, and whatnot. Those things are they don't they don't add a whole lot, but like unconsciously in the mind of somebody who lands on a page and they see a Better Business logo that says AAA rating, it like unconsciously it makes them feel at ease. They don't realize it, but they've just come to know that when they see that, they can just be a little bit more at ease. All right. So now we're going to get into the template, and I am going to try and go through this to get done by the 2-hour mark. But don't feel like you have to grasp everything that I'm saying today and understand it completely. That it's just not necessary. I'm putting this all in here and explaining it all so that in the recording you have access to this. You can go back to it as many times as you want, rewind, fast forward, pause, and really get to understand it. If you're on this live, on the coaching call live, you're probably going to feel overwhelmed because I'm going through 3 pages worth of buyer psychology. I am going to explain each section of it. I'm going to give you what I call a formula, which is basically a fill in a blank section or a fill in a blank template for each section of this entire template. And I'm going to give you an example of what that formula would look like if you were using it in a niche. So you probably are going to feel overwhelmed. So I'm just kind of letting you know that ahead of time. Next, a little bit of a disclaimer. This template is not the end all be all, make it or break it solution. You can move stuff around. I really encourage you to ad lib, interject your own personality in there. Even if you're using like a pen name or whatever, you don't need to use your real identity. A little bit about that, like pen names and stuff. The original founder of Agora Publishing is actually named Mark Ford, but he used the pen name Michael Masterson. And, I don't know why he did it. A lot of people use pen names. A lot of very famous authors are using pen names. And it's more so just about privacy for your name. It's not in any way to manipulate or deceive. It's just a privacy thing. So don't feel like you've got to use your own identity. But that doesn't mean you can't interject your own personality. Even if people don't know really who you are, you can still ad lib and stuff like that. Don't feel like because I've given you this template that's all you can use and all you should use. I really prefer that you didn't. And I'll show you why as we go through this, because if you leave it as is, it will work. I'm not saying it won't work. It will work, but it'll be a bit clunky. So here we go. So first I'm going to go through the 3 pages and just kind of break it down a little bit at a time. So page 1, the first thing is the navigation, and I'm going to use this site as the example. So this navigation, and people have asked me like, hey, do I really need to put terms and conditions and privacy policy and all this crap up here, or can I just put it like way down here at the bottom? You absolutely can put it at the bottom, but understand that the reason that it's up here is it gives people a sense of control, and that sense of control is very important. When somebody lands on a page, this goes back to entering like the mindset of somebody coming to your site and not just like copying off of what I'm doing. You really want to think about your target or your avatar and your prospect and put yourself in their shoes. When somebody lands on that site, If they've got no navigation and it looks like a sales page and it smells like a sales page, they're going to think it's a sales page and leave. They're not ever going to make it down to the bottom and realize there's nothing to buy here. Not a lot of sales pages have navigation or a phone number or an address for a business, and obviously no place to buy anything. It's unique. That uniqueness is what keeps people on the page, as well, obviously, as the relevance. So uniqueness, which is your logo. Specificity is huge, which I've talked about already, which is making sure that your site, the entire site, is focused on a very specific topic. The identity, again, remember, this goes back to the stuff I've covered earlier today. I covered that for a reason. It's because it's all part of this and it's weaved in different areas. You want to make sure the identity is there, the logo, phone, about, contact. I'll go back to show you here. I added this at the top. You don't have to if you don't want to. I do recommend having a phone number, and for personally, you can use a Google Voice. Just go to voice.google.com, get a free one, make sure it's your local area. I'm in Austin, so 512 is an Austin number. And it would match up with my address here, which is my home address. But you can use a PO box, you can do a virtual thing, whatever. I prefer having this up here for a couple reasons. It puts people at ease initially, like, oh cool, there's a phone. Like, again, when I'm like talking as the person visiting the site, it's in an unconscious way. Oh cool, there's a phone number here. I can, it's a real company. It's a local number. They may not know it's local because I'm in Austin. They could be in United Kingdom, whatever. Either way, it's a phone number. People don't put phone numbers on websites unless they're a real business. And it's people overlook this, and especially affiliates. Affiliates, like, what affiliate puts a phone number on a website? Nobody. Not even one have I ever seen put a phone number on their website. This is there on purpose. It's there to make people feel at ease. It gives my site identity. It makes me stand out from everyone else. So the about page, contact page, they're here. We'll talk more about these pages when we get to the site, building the site, but just having them there is good. You don't have to have them up here. I do recommend at least these three having above the fold of the page somewhere. So above the fold means above this line right here at the bottom of my screen. So I can see it. As soon as I land on the page, I can see it without scrolling. Something to keep in mind is on a mobile device, that fold is very, very small. It's going to be probably in one of these two lines are going to be the fold on, let's say, an iPhone, whatever the latest one is. Next, relevance, the headline. We've talked about that a lot. Next part is the open loop. So your open loop can be done a number of different ways. Again, guys, I'm going to be covering each one of these things as we go through this entire presentation. Right now, I'm just showing you the general layout of page one. I will be going over each individual thing. Each individual step has its own slide today in this presentation. Open loop. Over the next few pages, you're going to discover a simple way to flip domain names for profit. That is technically an open loop. It's not really a great one, but it's still a good one. It's enough. It's relevant to why they're on the page. It's enough to get them to continue reading at least into the next line. Build desire. And I'm not going to keep going back to this site. I'm going to go back to this site as we go into each one individually. So you want to continue building desire, even more desire. You want to add proof, close that first loop. So this one right here, future pacing, Again, I'm going to cover all of these things. Build more anticipation and desire. Open another loop and then make them click the link. And really, you're not going to make them click this link. These two things right here, building this anticipation and desire and opening that second loop, are going to make them click that link. You don't need to make them do it themselves. So let me take a quick break here and ask anybody, is anybody on live today that is not familiar with what an open loop means or what it is? I am going to cover it here in a little bit, but before we move any further, I just want to see. So you're not familiar with what it is. Cool. Okay. So an open loops are, this is something I learned from Andre Chaperone, who created Autoresponder Madness. An open loop is basically a cliffhanger. So if you ever watched a TV series, a couple good ones that do this, and at the end of every single episode are 24 and Lost. Even if you've never watched them, if you have Netflix or another, subscription, whatever, go back and go in there and just watch like an episode or two of Lost. I watched the entire series. It's an okay series. I more so watched it because of the writing, the script writing, and all of the ways that they open loops, closed loops. It really connects very well to like an autoresponder madness style email series, which we will talk a little bit about that later on in this coaching program. But understand that the open loops in this 3-page site are just about getting people to go to the next step in the site. So this first open loop is just to get people to go to the next step, which is continue reading. That's it. There's no micro commitment other than to get them to read the next line. That's it. Closing that loop. So let's see. This loop, discovering a simple way to flip domain names for profit. This closes the first loop. The domain flipping strategy Bob used is called the expired domain trick. That closes this first loop. Now the person in their mind, they're like, okay, cool. That I know now what the simple way is, or at least what it's called. The second open loop is this. Want to know what free piece of software Bob used, which, I talk more about the software up here, using a really cool piece of free software. He was able to find a domain name that recently expired, and it was a perfect match for hundreds of businesses around the country. Want to know what that free piece of software is? It's really cool. I'll share that on the next page. That's an open loop. The only way they can close that loop is by clicking. And that's really what you want right there. You want the intrigue and the curiosity to be, and the right here, anticipation and desire. You want that to be so high that they just mentally have to click the link to be able to satisfy themselves. So that's what an open loop is. It's really it's very simple if you just think about it as a cliffhanger. Everybody kind of knows what a cliffhanger is, so it's the same exact thing. So here's the second page of the template or of your site. You're going to close that second loop. So you're really going to continue that conversation. Going back here, you're continuing this conversation. So opening that loop, which was, want to know what free piece of software Bob used. I opened that loop, which is a lead into my useful content, which is on the second page. I'm going to continue that conversation and close that loop and give them the useful content. So I'll go to the second page. So let's keep moving. The really cool piece of free software Bob used is actually a website called expireddomains.net. That closes the loop. It gives them useful content. This actually, the whole thing right here is this right there is all useful content. Useful content is extremely important, and it's an area that I recommend expanding on as much as you possibly can. Give them as much as you possibly can in this 3-page site, and still be able to hold back some to get them to take that very last action. Next, you're going to add credibility and authority. You're going to take a side, eliminate other options, introduce a solution, connect the dots, open loop number 3, and the micro commitment number 2, which is the link at the bottom to go to page 3. So on page 3, again, I'm going through this fast because I'm going to break down each one of these steps. Page 3, close the loop number 3, which is really just continuing the conversation. Build more desire. Do some takeaway selling, which is really building desire to get them to take the action whenever you ask them to. And then you're going to add in a little bit of what I call tell them what, but not how. Build some more desire, add some more credibility and authority, transition to call to action, give them even more reason to take action, which is really just about hinting towards what they get if they take the action. Close loop 3, and then finally make the call to action. So this may, again, it may feel overwhelming. The way to look at this, though, is look at it one step at a time. Each one of these things is a section. You can work on one thing at a time. You're pulling, copying data from your research and pasting it into the areas that I'm going to give you the formula for here in a little bit. Don't feel like you've got to rush through this and look at it as I've got, whatever this is, 20, 30 different things to do. Do it one thing at a time, one page at a time, and eventually you will have your entire site created. And I'm going to give you, I've got a couple different things up here to give you. Let's see. So I've got a Google Doc of everything that I just laid out there. So page 3 in order, page 2 in order, page 3, I'm sorry, this was page 1, page 2, page 3. So I'm going to give you links to a couple different Google Docs that I created as I was putting this this week's session together, just really for reference. If you already have ClickFunnels, or if you're planning to get ClickFunnels and use the template that I provided, I've already updated these pages to include those steps. So you can just go in, click edit, click in here, highlight it, paste in your headline, paste in your subhead, paste in your your first open loop, and then click save and done. So all 3 of these pages are now updated in that template. I don't know why that one opened in a different one. Cool. All right, so now we're going to break down each one of those. And I've got, before I even start this here, so you're going to get, I'm going to link to this document, this Google Doc. And then, let's see, I've got examples. So for each one of these, we've got a slide in here for each section of the template. And in this example doc, I created examples in 3 different niches: in the domain flipping niche, the selling plans for profit niche, and then the weight loss for busy moms niche. And so you can see number 1 in each section is always going to be the domain flipping niche. I've got examples of each section of this template in those 3 niches. So I'll give you this document as well. And I've got all of this stuff is part of the presentation as well, but I don't, I didn't put all three examples in the slides. I only just put one example, and it's the domain flipping example because I've already created this entire site based on this template. And then the last document is the actual formulas, which you'll have. You'll see the formulas here in a second, but I've given you a number of different options for many of the different sections. Some of the sections I only put one option in. Let's see. Yeah, so future pacing, I only have one option in there. Useful content, one. So there's a couple in the middle there that I only got one option. As far as like templates for you to use, but you'll get all three of these documents. They'll be linked inside the members area. So let's break down each one of them here. So your headline should immediately let the reader know they're on the right page, which comes back to the relevance thing. You want to make it benefit driven, tell them how they can achieve their goal or solve their problem or get the desired outcome without any of the stuff that they don't want to do, which is like the challenges and objections. So here's kind of the formula for that. And the easiest way for me to explain the formula is just to show you an example. And the examples in this entire slide deck are all of the domain flipping business. So he bought a $1 domain name, sold it for $700 3 days later. The formula is whatever the person is, so he, and whatever accomplished, achieved, solved goal or problem he did. He bought a $1 domain name, sold it for $700 3 days later. So a few other headline examples. How this Wyoming woman made $1,500 in 6 days selling plants she didn't grow without ever leaving her home. And the weight loss, why don't more busy moms know about this weight loss secret? So I've got different formulas. If you go to the formulas document, so there's a case study headline, there's a get X without Y headline, there's an unaware headline. So that one I just read, which was why don't more busy moms know about this weight loss secret? This is a really, really good headline, and it works in any niche. That's the unaware headline. Why don't more avatar know about this niche secret? Which is why don't more busy moms know about this weight loss secret? So you can see how this is literally a fill in the blank template that I'm giving you. I've just broken it down into all of the different sections because, you know, in the template, you've got multiple open loops, multiple areas where you need to build desire. So I'm giving you different ways to do that so that it doesn't look like the same cookie cutter stuff on all three of your pages. Let's see what else. There's multiple closed loops, multiple areas where you need to add credibility and authority. And I think that's it. Yeah. It's mostly like the building desire. Building desire is the biggest, it really is the biggest part of the success behind these 3-page sites. And it's one of the biggest things where you have to take their objections and turn them into a benefit. So when I was talking about the Agora copy formula, where you think of all the objections on Post-it notes and you use them throughout your entire page, your entire site, to overcome those objections. That's really what building desire is. It's just a different way to say it. All right, next, open loop. An open loop is a cliffhanger. It adds intrigue and curiosity, creates suspense in the mind of the reader. Their unconscious mind becomes desperate to close the loop. Use things like secrets, tricks, tips, little known methods. That's usually what I go to open loops. So there's the formula. Here's the example. The secret to flipping domain names fast has nothing to do with buying premium domain names. Bob recently bought a domain name for $1 and quickly sold it for $700 in only 3 days. I'll tell you more about Bob later. First, so the I'll tell you more about Bob later, that's really the open loop. Everything leading up to that in this example is really about building the desire to learn more about Bob. The I'll tell you more about Bob later is the open loop. First is this kind of the segue into whatever the next part of the template is. And since we already kind of went through the open loops, I'm not going to go back to the site to refer to that. So building desire is super easy. Just continue to tell the reader how they can get what they want without all the stuff they don't want. They're basically mini headlines scattered throughout your copy. And the formula, this is just one of the formulas like I showed you in the document you're going to get. A lot of different ways to do this. And it literally is a copy and paste thing, guys. So let me explain this formula. Over the next few pages, you're going to discover a simple way, method, strategy, system, plan, technique to achieve goal or problem, solve a problem without a roadblock challenge, so the example over the next few pages, you're going to discover a simple way to flip domain names for profit without spending thousands of dollars on premium domain names, without waiting years to recoup your initial investment, and without having an ounce of technical knowledge or ability. So you can kind of see where you're able to pull things from your research and just paste them into these bracketed areas. So, what's a roadblock or a challenge for the weight loss niche? And I think I've got examples. Yeah, this weight loss plan is super simple. No crazy smoothie concoctions, no ridiculous calorie restrictions, and no exercising at all. So these three things, 1, 2, 3, those are all roadblocks or challenges. Those are things people don't want to do. And those are the things that are keeping them from achieving their goal or their desire. So that was the reason for having you guys go through all of the research and really dragging that out 2 weeks to make sure that you had that done correctly, because you're going to be referring back to that time and time again, even after your site is done. As you get into the email stuff, you're going to have similar templates for emails once we get to that stage. Next is proof. Proof can be achieved a number of different ways. Just using a case study is enough proof in most cases. You can snag a testimonial from a product you're promoting and rework it as proof too. The reader's just looking for proof that this has worked for someone else like them. So the example is, Bob never did any kind of domain flipping before this. He stumbled onto this step-by-step system, and within his first 3 days, he had already made $700. So you can see how that works into the formula. You insert a person, whether it's a he, a she, or a person's name. So Bob, and where did they start? He never did any kind of domain flipping before this. And again, person, he stumbled onto this step-by-step system and achieve goal / solve problem. Within his first 3 days, he had already made $700. It's a literally a fill-in-the-blank template. So while we're on this, I want to talk about where you should be pulling testimonials, case studies, success stories from. And I did get an email from someone this week who had a question about this, because he raised a valid point, and I didn't really cover it in the week before, about pulling, one of those, like a testimonial or case study from a specific product. If, we're building this business around a person and a problem, products come and go. What's going to happen if that product goes away in a couple months, and I'm still using a case study from that? And really the answer to that is, you want to pull case studies and success stories from, you can still pull them from products, but you need to make sure that the person achieved their goal or solved their problem based on the initial problem, meaning that multiple products can do the same thing for someone. So in the example that I gave in the email back to them was somebody who is interested in the weight loss, in weight loss. If you go to like ClickBank and look at a lot of the sales pages, they all really look close to the same. They all kind of promise the same stuff. And honestly, if you buy them and read them, a lot of them are very much the same thing. So the recommendation that I have is, if you've done everything I've told you to this point and you've narrowed your audience down, and you're not just doing weight loss, which is way too broad, you're doing something like the keto diet to lose weight, you just need to make sure that your case study or your success story is of somebody who used the keto diet to lose weight. It doesn't need to be based around a specific product. In this case right here, Bob, he did follow a specific product. He purchased a product, but this strategy is not like rocket science. It's literally a two-step strategy. You buy it and you sell it. And I can really promote any domain flipping product that I find, and that will solve somebody's problem, or allow them to achieve the goal of flipping a domain. I'm just using this story because it's relevant to flipping domains. So hopefully that makes sense and kind of answers anybody's questions about like, where do you find a case study or a success story. I literally typed in domain flipping case study and found this case study. I'm pretty sure that's what I typed in. I might have had to search a couple pages. I don't know. Not right here. So on page 2. All right, next step is closing the loop. Closing the loop is simple. Just continue the story from when you opened it. Reveal the secret, the trick, or the tip, and reinforce the benefits of the solution. The formula is kind of, you don't really need to follow a formula for this. It's really just about, revealing whatever it is you were trying to hide initially. So the example here is, I already showed you this, the domain flipping strategy Bob used is called the expired domain trick. Using a really cool piece of software, piece of free software, Bob was able to find a domain name that recently expired and was a perfect match for hundreds of businesses around the country. All you're doing is telling them exactly what you were keeping back earlier from the open loop. Next is future pacing. Future pacing is an NLP technique that allows the reader to imagine a new future. They have to first be able to imagine themselves doing it, or they will never buy into it. So to future pace, you need to take them to a time in the future where they're using the solution and experiencing the benefits. The formula for this is literally a copy and paster for any niche. So imagine the feeling of whatever the feeling your solution provides, and you can relate it to your case study. So Bob, I'll just give you the example. Imagine the feeling of freedom Bob experienced when he sold that first domain name and made $700 in only 3 days. It's a simple strategy he can use over and over again anytime he wants to make some money. So you can really copy this and just, again, paste in the different parts of whatever your niche is. Next up is useful content. I talked about this a little bit already. It is definitely required. It's what makes you and your site different from a standard sales page. The content can be anything that the reader would find informative, useful, or valuable in helping them achieve their goal or solve their problem. So again, The formulas for this, for useful content, is it's very, lax. You don't need to follow something like like what I put here. And I already shared this too. Really cool piece of software. It's the same thing that I already talked about right here. This whole thing was useful content. And it is also part of closing that open loop on the previous page, which is the easiest way to work in two things at once. Add credibility and authority. Credibility and authority are very important, but don't have to come from you. You have it, of course, use it. If not, pull it from recent news or media pieces online. Just a few snippets from a few different known media sources in your niche will do. So there's the formula, and here's an example that I used. And I'll show you this on the actual site. So this is actually a real article that I found on domain flipping. The domain flipping business was recently featured in an article on Business Insider. Here's what they said. And honestly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they said. All that matters is that there was actually a featured article on a known media channel, meaning known to your niche. Doesn't need to be like ABC News or New York Times, whatever. It can be something just for your niche, as long as they know it and in their mind it's in a respected authority niche or authority website, then that'll work. And whatever they say, it really doesn't matter. If they say something that sells the product itself, then that's even better, but it doesn't matter as long as it was actually on the website. That's all that matters, so that you're basically not lying. So I didn't include, let me go back to this here. I really wanted to show you guys a lot of these examples on here too. I just don't know if we're going to have the time. Let me see how much I got left. Yeah, I got a lot left still. So this, I do want to show you this one though. So this is the one I just shared. This is one I wrote for our gardening site. Again, as an affiliate, you're likely not going to have this kind of authority or credibility. In some cases, people do. It's just a matter of if you do or not. This is just another example of the same thing, basically the same formula as this in the weight loss niche. And whether you link, so I actually hyperlink this kind of for my own reference, but you can hyperlink it as well. So like I could have hyperlinked this and just had it open in a new tab. That does add a little bit of credibility to you as somebody who's kind of an authority. Like, hey, I found this, click it and it opens, and people see that it's really providing value to them by giving them more information. Okay, yeah, cool. All right, taking a side accomplishes a number of different things. First, it immediately tells the reader which side you're on, so they can decide whether or not to continue taking advice from you. In most cases, they'll be on your side anyways. It just strengthens the bond that you have with them. Next, just the fact that you're offering a contrarian opinion separates you from the crowd and unconsciously makes you even more attractive to the reader. This is one of those things that I learned. I don't remember where I learned it from, but just by going out and talking against the crowd, going against the grain, is going to make you look different. And just the fact that you look different and people agree with what you're saying, it unconsciously draws them to you even further. It's one of those like psychological things. I don't know how to explain it other than what I just said. So this is, let's see right here. This is taking a side. People buy into all those push button easy money making gimmicks because they want to believe the fairy tales that the gurus are telling them are true. Truth is, it's just a marketing ploy to get you to buy. There are no shortcuts to success. Success doesn't happen overnight. Can't promise you it'll be easy, but I've made it as easy as I possibly could for you. This line right here, but I've made it as easy as I possibly could for you, is something I learned from, oh God, well, I don't know, I can't think of his name. His first name is John, but he's the VSL guy. Wow, I don't know why I can't think of his name, but he is a major like NLP copy guy, and saying this first, I can't promise you it will be easy, and then saying, but I've made it as easy as I possibly could for you, is basically, it's one of those belief things. It's transferring belief from it's not easy so I can't do it into it's as easy as it possibly can be, which is putting the belief into the system itself. John Benson is the last name, sorry. All right, that's really what I just told you there. So again, I'm going through these slides very quickly. Obviously, you'll have the recording to go through. And these documents are really going to be where the gold is for you. There's a lot of examples you can pull from, like different examples, different ways to do certain things. So it's a lot of information at one time in this short coaching session, but there's tons and tons and tons of value in everything that I'm giving you here. So hopefully you don't feel like I'm just rushing through this just to get through it. There's a lot of like explaining, like each one of these I'm just really explaining the why behind it and why it works, because I want you guys to understand it. I want you to just copy and paste the template and go from there. You can do that and it will work, but I would prefer that you actually know why it works so that you can tweak it and adjust it and use it different ways to benefit you in the future. All right, next, eliminating other options. Eliminating other options is pretty simple. Just point out the flaws of the other options. Make those flaws seem so bad that the reader could never consider them as an option going forward. So an example, other money-making strategies have ridiculous rules and restrictions, not to mention the upfront investment that's required. Like, that's a very simple way to eliminate other options. It's not very specific, and I'm not sure if I've got like specific examples in here. Yeah, so here's like a single flaw eliminator. If you choose to blank, so if you choose to grow your own plants, you're waiting for a minimum of 2 months to have anything that's worth selling. So doing like these are really what I prefer doing to eliminate options. I like doing one thing, like a bunch of very single specific flaws in other options. And that's really about eliminating objections too. So an objection somebody would have to doing the plant business, which in this case was buying and then selling plants and just making money on the difference. An objection would be, it's too expensive to just buy plants. I would rather grow them. So to combat that objection, if you choose to grow your own plants, you're waiting for a minimum of 2 months to have anything that's worth selling. And honestly, it's usually about 6 months if you're actually going to sell a plant and not like a rooted cutting. So that's how you take like an objection like that and turn it into really a benefit, and then you're eliminating that other option at the same time. Next is introducing the solution. Introducing the solution is a transition from the options to the only option, which is your solution. It's a fairly straightforward approach, but it can be done a number of different ways. The easiest way is a very simple one-liner. You won't find another arbitrage strategy as lucrative as this one in today's online world. And that can be used for anything. You won't find another diet program as effective as this one. It's a very, very easy way to transition from the other options to your solution. Connecting the dots is a sneaky transition that blends future pacing, micro commitments, and an open loop altogether. The idea is to point out their feeling of excitement as they've read through your website. They likely have been excited about the solution you're leading up to and probably haven't realized just how excited they actually are. It's important to point this out. It confirms in their mind that you're different. Next, the micro commitment of quote unquote, keep reading to learn more. It's a very, very small micro commitment, but it's still a micro commitment. Finally, an open loop of you'll love what I have to share with you. So the example that I used in this is right here. So this is kind of introducing the solution. If you found yourself getting excited about what you've read so far, like you can totally see yourself working remotely from your laptop as a domain flipper, then you're going to love what I still have to share with you. So kind of dissecting this a little bit at a time, future pacing is you can totally see yourself working remotely from your laptop. That kind of, it puts them there's an image in their mind that is immediately created. In my mind, I'm sitting on a beach in a chair with flip-flops and shorts and a t-shirt on with my laptop open, and there's tons of money in my account. Like that's an immediate image in my mind, and it's going to be the same for other people. The micro commitment on this is basically keep reading. You're gonna love what I have to share is the open loop, and the keep reading is it's a implied micro commitment. It's a very, very small one. It's not the same as clicking a link, which is a pretty drastic difference from just keep reading. But just the fact that you're telling them that they're gonna love what you have to share is a bit of an open loop while still a micro commitment of I'm going to keep reading to see what he's talking about. All right, next is takeaway selling. So we're getting into, I believe, I do a little bit of takeaway selling. Honestly, in a lot of my copy in anywhere, because it's a little bit of creating an open loop at the same time. But we're really getting into like the third page here of this site. Takeaway selling is a very powerful persuasion tactic where you hint at a secret tip, trick, strategy, or technique, but say you'll only tell them what it is when they take the action you want them to take, which in this case is to get on your email list or to buy the product you're promoting. So here is the takeaway selling. And again, I'm skipping over some of this stuff because these are like open loops, building more desire, and I've already covered that. So you're going to just be going back to these examples to pull different formulas for building desire and different ways to open a loop. I'm just covering each unique section one thing at a time here. So the takeaway selling really starts about here. So what about selling expired domain names that you buy? I told you about the super cool piece of free software you can use to buy expired domain names. And what about selling them? Where can you sell them super fast? The answer, I'm not going to share that here in public out in the open for everyone to see. So you're hinting at the quote unquote secret place to sell them, but you're taking it away and saying, I'm not going to share it here. You're going to have to take the action I want you to take below. Next is tell them what, but not how. Tell them what, but not how is another powerful persuasion tactic you can use to build more desire. By telling them what to do, but not how to do it, you're creating yet another open loop in their mind that they just have to close to be satisfied. So in this case, right here is the tell them what, but not how. It's really this right here, just these two lines. I will say this though, it's not so much about where to sell your domain names, it's about who you should sell them to. So you're really, this isn't really a great example. I mean, actually it is. You're telling them what, but not how. You're saying it's not really where you're selling them. So it's not a specific place, but it's a specific person that you should be looking for to sell them to. You're just not telling them how to find that specific person. All right, getting close to the end here. So transition to call to action. The transition to your CTA is very simple. You remind them of their problem or desire and how this is the only option they have left. Then tell them exactly what to do. So in this case, my transition to the CTA is really, I did a lot from this point, what we just talked about. I did a lot of building desire. All the way down to here. And I actually gave them almost really another case study here, but specifically left out some details that I will only reveal if they opt in, which is the action I want them to take. So the transition is really starts right here. I think that's what I had in there, right? Yep. So transition is want to know the free simple strategy he, meaning this guy right here in this new case study I just revealed, he used to discover this trending topic. Awesome. However, I won't share this info publicly. I reserve this stuff for my domain flipping made easy insiders. If you're serious about flipping domain names, then you owe it to yourself to become an insider. So that's really the transition from, in this case, this was building desire, and it's transitioning into what's going to be the call to action. But I'm actually even building more desire, which you're going to see here in the next slide, which is give them even more reason to take an action, which is really just adding on more benefits to get them to take that action. So at this point, they're already sold on your CTA. You're just giving them the extra nudge that everyone looks for right before a big decision is about to be made. You can do this by hinting towards a few more things you'll reveal via email or a few things they'll get if they want to buy what you're promoting. So my give them a reason is this. So as an insider, here's a tiny peek at what you'll learn. And I really just named 4 different things that I'll reveal to them via email, which was, in this case, it was the same system Bob used to flip his domain name in 3 days for $700. The simple strategy this guy used up here that I revealed, some 12 websites where you can find people to buy domain names, and then where you can register domain names for $1. So the end of the give them more reason to do your call to action is becoming a domain flipping made easy insider is free. All you have to do is enter your name and email address below, which I just realized I didn't put a name box here, but that doesn't matter. I can change that. You'll immediately receive the first insider edition via email, even if it's 2 a.m. Again, this is a template right here. It's the same exact thing I just did. As an insider, here's a tiny peek of what you'll learn. Oops. And then I included 4 benefits. 1, 2, 3, 4. And at the end, becoming a, whatever the name of your insider group is, insider is free. All you have to do is enter your name and email address, and you receive the first insider edition via email, even if it's 2 a.m. And there are a number of different ways that you could do this. I don't know that I gave any extra ones here. Yeah, here's another one. You can actually 2 of them. They're very similar, just 2 different niches. And the last thing is the call to action, which is really the shortest thing, but don't take it lightly. The language you use for your call to action is very important. If it's something they can download, use download now. If it's a diet plan, use get the diet plan now. If you're positioning it as a free membership, use yes, I want to be an insider. Be very specific. You can see that's what I did here. This is the call to action, which is the opt-in box. So part of the call to action is actually done throughout this, which is kind of like hinting. Right here, all you have to do is enter your name and email below. And right here, I reserve this for my insiders. If you're serious about flipping domains, you owe it to yourself to become an insider. You're really just priming them to take the action you want them to take. All right, cool. That is, so I was able to get through that very quickly. I apologize if I went way too fast on some of those. Again, everything that I've covered in the slides is they're in these three these three documents. There are multiple formulas for many of the different sections that you can use. There are 3 different examples of each section for 3 different niches. And then the basic outline of all 3 pages of the site are right here. So all 3 of those documents you'll have. If you've got questions on anything that I cover, you probably are going to. I don't expect you to have all the questions right now, which is totally fine. Feel free to email me from between now and next week. I will help you any way I can in coming up with what you need for your specific niche for the different sections. I'm not obviously not going to do the whole thing for you, but if you're like stuck on a certain section and you don't know what to include, please email me. Don't let this step of this coaching session or this coaching program keep you from moving forward. I know a lot of people get hung up on the words on a page and the words on a website, and they feel like, I'm not a copywriter, I can't do this. That exact objection is why I've gone to the amount of trouble I've gone to put all of this stuff down for you guys and create these formulas, because it literally is this easy. Just follow these bracketed formulas. Who's your avatar? Put it in there. Busy moms. Why don't more busy moms know about what's your niche? Weight loss. Know about this weight loss secret. It's that easy, and that's a really good headline. Oops. Why don't more busy moms know about this weight loss secret? I mean, if I were a busy mom and I really, in the back of my mind, keep thinking I need to lose some weight, I'm going to click that article. I'm going to read it. I'm going to click that ad. I'm going to read it. Don't dismiss the effectiveness of these just because they're formulas and they're copy and paste things. This stuff works very well. These are different variations of businesses that I've run in the past as an affiliate and as a product owner. And all of the different formulas I've included in this 9-page document work. I've used every single one of them and they work. So don't dismiss them as, just a gimmick as part of this coaching program. This stuff really works. You just have to be able to pull the data that you've already researched and put it into the template. So, all right. So if you've got questions, put them in the Q&A box. I've got a couple, not many questions today, which I figured because this is a bit overwhelming. So the questions will come as you guys start doing this. And your homework this week is going to be to complete your entire 3-page template, not the site. So you're not building the entire site. It's this template. And it's really, really this template. So When I give you links to these Google Docs, just go to File, make a copy, and it'll save a copy of this document to your Google Docs. Then you can go in and put your headline in here, and that's your homework, is to fill this thing out for all 3 pages. You don't need to add a bunch of stuff yet. You don't need to add fluff and all kinds of stuff. If you go back to this site and go to the home page, look at how short this page is. It's totally fine to start out with. I purposely didn't add a bunch of stuff in here because I want you guys to see what you can start with. You don't need to start with a huge site. Even this one is very short. Second page. This one's a bit longer because I went in and added more. I added basically a whole entire another case study. Really just really about 7 or 8 lines, but that is part of the building the desire. I decided to just use this as another building the desire, which also in turn adds it adds more desire to get them to opt in, because I'm going to reveal what this guy did to find a topic that he could buy a domain name about. Cool. All right. So if you got questions, put them in the Q&A box. I will get to those in a second. I do want to show you another site that I created a while ago, probably 5 years ago. Give me just a second to pull it up here. And I'll include this in the members area as well. All right. So this was a niche I was in that was actually a very, very successful affiliate business for me, but I kind of let it fizzle out, and it was mostly because I built it around one specific product. So this was kind of where I learned my lesson of not building your entire business around a product and building it around a problem. The site itself is built around a problem, but it was my email series that was all built around a specific product. So I didn't even really go back through and mess with it again, because honestly, I had a hard time finding another product that delivered the same amount of value. The product I was promoting, they just completely did away with their affiliate program, and I could never really find another product that solved the same problem. So this was in the men's really belly fat niche. So losing belly fat. I'm not going to explain this whole thing right now, but I just really wanted to show you another example, and also show you how you can just break the mold of this. So this isn't if you try and look at where's the headline, where's the open loop, where's the building the desire, more desire proof, you're not going to find it in this site, this 3-page site. The pieces are there. They're in a different order. Some things may be missing while I've added other persuasion techniques, but this was early on in my process, but I wanted to show it to you because it did do very well. It did get 20 to 25% opt-in rates on page 3. And I'll include these files for you to look at later on, so you can actually go through it when you get a chance. But you can see there's things that are missing that I do recommend now. So there's no logo, there's no navigation up here. Some of the things I've added recently to really make it also more compliant. I never ran this on Google or Facebook. This was all run in other channels. So the method that I follow now these businesses can be run on anything, and they're compliant everywhere as long as you follow the strategies that I tell you to follow. So here is page 3, which is just leading to this opt-in here. So again, I'll include links to this so you guys can just read through this at your own leisure. I did include a PDF report here that I wrote, and that was kind of done as a test more so than anything, but it kind of added a little bit of value up front where they could just click it and open it and read it right away without having to opt in or anything. It added value in advance, so it did seem to work to attract like the most targeted, like hot prospects, people that really, really did want to learn more about it, and that's why it did work so well. All right, let me answer these questions here. I only got a couple. So first question, having the phone number at the top of page 1, do you get and answer phone calls? So he's referring to this up here. I do get phone calls. I would say, well, let me look at my phone real quick. I use, it's called SmartLine through GoDaddy. It's $3.99 a month. You get a phone number, and people can text you and leave voicemails, and it's all, you can manage it all through an app on your phone. So the last phone call I've gotten, and this number is used across, I don't know how many sites. It's more than 5. Last call I got was May 28th. And before that, April 30th, April 15th, April 15th, April 13th, April 11th, 9th, January. So from January to April. So it's very sporadic. Actually, I'm sorry. Those were not phone calls. Those were, oh yeah, they were. So yeah, that was phone calls mixed with text messages. So I don't ever answer them, ever. I will, if anything, if they're asking a specific question based on sales, I will usually text them and ask for an email, if anything. A lot of times it's just somebody, a lot of times they won't ever leave a message. It's just, they're like testing it to see what happens when they call. And if they get somebody, they'll, they might ask them a dumb question or something, but a lot of times it's just, people testing the number, or it's even like spam, like people getting your number, like scraping it somehow and trying to sell you crap. Which is another reason why I don't ask them. Next question, with providing free value in the template section, if in the weight loss niche, would you think offering a free quiz or something, can you offer some ideas on what to offer as a freebie? I guess I'm not 100% sure on your question there. And providing free value, are you referring to like the useful content part of the template? And he may not be on anymore because it was like 2 a.m. when he started here. Well, I'll go to the next question and then come back if he replies. Oh, he just replied. Hang on. Yes, I'm referring to the useful content. So the best thing to use for useful content, and I will go to examples for that. The best thing to use for useful content is think about your prospects' end goal. So let's take weight loss, for example. The end goal, like if they're crossing a bridge, imagine them crossing a bridge and divide that bridge into 3 milestones. So they've made it 25% of the way across the bridge, 50% of the way across the bridge, 75% of the way across the bridge, and the other side is the end goal. Each of those milestones, the 25%, 50%, 75%, those are the big things they've got to accomplish to get to their goal. In weight loss, that could be coming up with a good diet, a good exercise plan, and managing their time wisely. Let's just say, I'm just making stuff up. A useful piece of content is giving them that very first milestone. Tell them exactly what to do for that very first milestone. So in the example of the domain thing, it was the milestones are finding expired domains, knowing what websites to use to sell the domains on, and then actually selling them, like going through the bidding and negotiation process. So I gave them the very first milestone right here in my useful content, which was this free software where you can go and find expired domains. That's the first milestone, where to find an expired domain to buy. The next one would be sites you can go to list your new domain for sale. And I held that back. I just chose to hold that back and make them opt in for that. There are other things I could have given away as useful content, and I may even go back and add stuff to the site. I really just went through this entire template I covered today and filled this site out based on everything that I created. I can go back and add stuff anytime. This is a very short page, so I would probably go back and add some more useful content. So I've got this up here, which was the useful content. I could probably add more. I could even give them one place to go to sell their domain and then hold back the other 10 or 11, whatever it was. All right, next question. Is there a reason I'm not able to see the other participants' questions? Yeah. You can't see questions that people ask. You can only see the chat area. Questions are only for the person running it through Zoom. Next question, what's quick ways to find case studies in our niche to use for this template, and should it be on credible websites? So like what I like to do, and I'll show you what I did to find the other one, is I'll go, you can see I already did it. So I did domain flipper inside of quotes, and then I clicked on news. And I found this one right here. Meet the guy who turned down $80,000 for Kanye for president.com. So I really just use that as like an example. This is like a ABC local channel. It's not like a national anything, but ABC nonetheless. So I used it in here. It's kind of a second case study, which is this whole section. Somebody, he registered the domain name after seeing like a trending topic, and then somebody from TMZ called him and offered him 80 grand for the domain name like 5 months later. But either way, that's how I found it. You can just do all and look that way. But yeah, I would prefer it to be like a reputable authority website, if anything, preferably news media, well-known. Worst case, just a niche website that everybody knows in the niche. All right, let's see. It's the last question I got. Building the 3-page site to reach $350 per day once it is set up. Do I go on to creating more sites, or do I need multiple sites to reach $350 a day? You should be able to hit $350 per day with one site. Let me rephrase that. If you went through the niche selection process that I recommended and did super niches and then chose a sub niche of a super niche, you should be able to hit $350 per day with just one site. Cool. All right, that's all the questions. We are exactly on time for ending, which is very unusual. So thank you guys for being on the live call. I know we went through a lot of stuff. I promise it's not as hard as it seems. Once you start breaking it down, doing it one chunk at a time, one section at a time, top to bottom, page 1, page 2, page 3, you will be able to get it done by next week with ease, as long as you've done everything else that we've covered to date. So again, that will be your homework. Just completing the outline. You don't need to put it all into a site like I've done here. Just in an outline, the page, a Google Doc like this is fine. Just make a copy of my Google Doc, fill it out for your entire niche, your entire business, and that is your homework for next week. Got questions? If you need help along the way between now and then, please email me. I'm happy to help anytime. So have a great weekend, guys, and I will talk to you next week.